Happy to have you all here today. My name is Jana Hill. I'm the Adult Services Manager for the Fort Worth Public Library System. Thrilled to be here today with Blake Farrell, Library Assistant from our Meadowbrook branch on the east side of Fort Worth. Welcome, Blake.
Thank you.
Today, we will be talking about soft skills for career advancement. This is another installment in our monthly workforce programs to help you find your perfect career. Today, we're going to talk about the soft skills needed in today's job market, how to develop them, how to communicate proficiently in resumes, job interviews, and just professionally. So I think without any further ado, I'm going to hand it over to my friend Blake.
Thank you very much and welcome everybody. Just as a quick review and a reminder, my name is Blake Farrell. I'm at the Meadowbrook branch of the Fort Worth Public Library System. I'm a library assistant. And today, as a review of what we've covered kind of before, I wanted to just mention, and it's not, there we go. You have already been exposed to some of the different programs through this summer workforce program that we've been doing over the last several months. We've covered resume basics, JobNow. We've hit really hard on JobNow because they've got such a great resource available, and some interview tips. Today, what I want to talk about is an understanding of some of the different skill sets that employers are looking for with new employees and with their current employees. We're going to compare hard skills versus soft skills and recognize the importance of emotional intelligence, or EQ. Knowledge of the tools available through the Fort Worth Library is going to be a big deal because that's what this program is all about, to help you get those skills, and we want to be there to help you do that. And then we're going to give you a little bit of information about using your experiences and your training to enhance your resume and increase your hireability. So some of the tools that are available through the Fort Worth Library, if you have a library card or a Fort Worth resident, don't have one, now's your time to go out and get one. You're going to have access to the JobNow Skill Surfer program. It's through BrainFuse. LinkedIn Learning, which I'm going to talk quite a bit about a little bit later. This is formerly lynda.com, and they're industry known for their training. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, but you have access to that as well with your Fort Worth Library card. So what we're talking about when we're talking about hard skills are those job-specific skills, that expertise and ability, that knowledge that you learn through education and experience that allow you to complete a task. So if you're going to take a job as a welder, you need to know how to weld, and you need to be able to prove that you can weld. That's a hard skill. Knowledge of a second language is going to be important to a person that needs those skills in other languages. Car mechanics, computer skills, the more specific computer skills. Drawing, painting, sculpting, 3D modeling, things like that seem like innate talents, but they're also hard skills. Skills in sales, logistics, management, dealing with people, those are all hard skills. As an example, if you're good with numbers, then you might be thinking about getting a career in accounting or money management, the stock market, things like that, marketing. The way you can show proficiency in that skill is going to be by taking classes and passing, of course, getting classes in higher level math at a junior college or in a university, your MS Office specialization certifications, specifically with Excel, because that's the one that deals mostly with numbers, Microsoft Visual Basic, use of accounting software, and this is just a really small list, QuickBooks, FreshBooks, Cloud Accounting. These are accounting software that if you have experience using them or have taken some training, you'll be able to put that on your resume and say, hey, this is one of my hard skills. One other way to think of hard skills are these are going to be the things on the job announcement that are like the minimum requirements. This job requires you to be proficient with QuickBooks, because that is a hard skill that they need for that particular job opening. So that's a look at the hard skills. Now, when we're talking about soft skills, we are talking mostly about the skills that are required and work across many different jobs, many different professions. Some people will call these people skills because they deal with interpersonal relationships and our emotions, how we deal with other people. The key point here is that these skills are important in any job. So they're the more intangible, non-technical skills. In my other presentation, when we were talking about career directions, I talked about transferable skills. Most of these skills are your transferable skills, and they're closely tied with emotional intelligence, or EQ, EI. I've seen it written many different ways. If you're not already familiar with emotional intelligence, real quick, it's that capacity to be aware of and control your emotions. All right. Emotional intelligence, emotional quotient, that's your ability to handle interpersonal relationships with good judgment and sense, and that ability to be empathetic, share and understand other people's feelings. Your IQ, or intelligence quotient, is an important measure of your general intelligence, how and what you know. But your EQ, or emotional intelligence, is how much you know yourself and how much you have improved over time. I'll usually see two lists like this when they're talking about emotional intelligence. And remember, it's a gradual, and it's a spectrum here. Low emotional intelligence as opposed to high emotional intelligence. People are going to be at different levels. You're not going to be on the low emotional intelligence for everything. You may be high emotional intelligence in some areas, low emotional intelligence in other areas. And it's our ability to recognize and be self-aware enough to know what areas we need to work on. So if we look at the list on the left, the low emotional intelligence, these words are used to describe somebody that has not progressed very far in their emotional intelligence spectrum here. So we're talking about aggressive, demanding, confrontational people, easily distracted, they're poor listeners, they could be resistant to change, unresponsive, stubborn, critical, fussy, hard to please. All these words I know you've seen before, and you could probably pick out one or two people in your life that you could point to and say, oh, they're the exact example that I would use to indicate somebody with a low emotional intelligence as a listener. Okay, they just don't listen. They like talking about themselves more than they like listening to other people. So that's on the low end. On the high end, we've got assertive, ambitious, driven, decisive, enthusiastic, predictable, very patient, good listener, as opposed to the bad listener. Detailed, careful and meticulous, neat. So that's the high end. But consider the difference between words like the two top ones I've got on the list, aggressive versus assertive. There's a way to get your point across without stepping on other people. All right, you can be assertive without putting other people down. To make your point, but don't be aggressive about it. So you can see where somebody can start with an aggressive personality and maybe move to a more assertive one when they grow emotionally. All right, and that's what this is all about. If you're sticking to a particular path because you don't trust yourself or the process, so you're being resistant to change, that's different than somebody who is sticking to a particular path because through experience and training, they know that that path is the correct way to go. All right. A lot of this has to do with your motivation. Okay, how you're motivated determines how you're going to perceive a situation and how other people are going to perceive you as well. All the attributes of somebody with high emotional intelligence are going to be the attributes that a potential employer is looking for in new employees. All right, you will actually see some of these words on job announcements. Okay, are you a stable employee? Can you be patient in a crisis situation? Are you a good listener? What are your communication skills like? Are you meticulous, neat, determined? Things like this are words that you'll see on a job announcement. So these are the attributes that most employers are looking for. They're definitely not going to go for somebody on the left-hand side here. All right. The key with most of this is answering the question, can we change? All right. If we're a poor listener, can we change that habit and become a good listener? And the answer, of course, is yes. With training, with experience, with interaction with other people, we can definitely change. Most of us are usually self-aware enough to know what traits we need to work on. All right, so if not, ask a friend. If they want to be helpful, they'll tell you honestly. Yeah, you are a little critical sometimes and you're a little hard to please. So with that kind of information, you can make some plans. You can determine what kind of action you can take to improve. One thing that's interesting to me as a father of 3 boys, what side of the spectrum does a typical 2 to 3-year-old fall? Well, it's mostly going to be on the low emotional intelligence, okay? Because they're just learning how to control and understand their own emotions as they're growing. How do they get better at some of these traits? By watching good examples, by good training, and by trying. Okay, if a low emotional intelligence action gets them what they want, then they will continue with that action because they are training themselves to get what they want in a certain way. If they have good training otherwise, whether it's through school or parenting or other friends, then they will slowly start moving toward the high emotional intelligence side. No one is perfect. There's always room for improvement in some area. Okay, we can work on these one step at a time. We can try to improve it as a group, but there is training available that can help you work on any of those skills. And we actually have one of the really good resources that can help with that. So that's emotional intelligence. Employers want this level of self-awareness on your part so that you recognize the ways that you've advanced and grown. Well, there's no timeline for this. Growth is different for everybody. But the one way that you can improve on anything that you determine you need help with is by seeking out that help, by taking new jobs that expand your experiences. Volunteering is a really good place to go. Joining clubs and organizations, getting around people that aren't necessarily in your normal environment, broadening your horizons, learning how to be more empathetic and understanding of other people's situations. So let's talk about the soft skills themselves. Soft skills related to emotional intelligence are things like communication, teamwork, problem solving, and critical thinking. And by communication, I mean people that are communicating with each other one-on-one in a setting like in an office, people that are working with customers in a retail situation, written communication, oral communication. Those are considered soft skills because every job requires some form of communication, whether it's with you and your bosses, or you and your subordinates, you and outside customers, you and vendors. It's going to require communication. Teamwork's another one. Can you work well in a team environment? Are you better going solo? That might be a decision that you have to make as you're deciding what career to go into. Problem solving and critical thinking. Some of us have a knack for recognizing and seeing patterns and seeing the underlying cause of a particular problem and can help solve that problem. Some of us don't have that knack and we have to work on it. Leadership. Can you manage people? Can you lead by example and allow others to help achieve a team goal? Responsibility. Can you be trusted to work diligently at your job? All right, without constant supervision. That's going to be an important thing to most employers. Can you be responsible for the safety of others? So responsibility is a big one, and I can't think of too many jobs out there that wouldn't require somebody that is a responsible person taking on that job. Time management's a huge one too. Can you work with deadlines? Sometimes conflicting events happening at the same time, prioritizing things. There's a lot of resources out there on time management, and I'll show you or mention another one a little later. Decision-making is big. Organization, whether you are an organized person or not, if you have trouble with that, there are lots of tools to help you out. Conflict management, this is a true skill and talent. Some people can go into a situation and it immediately calms down. Some people make the situation worse. If you know yourself well enough to know which side of that spectrum you fall on, well, then this is something that could be important to a prospective employer. And adaptability, this is also important in every job. Change is inevitable. Change is going to happen no matter what the job is. Your ability to roll with those changes rather than digging in and fighting back, that's going to be a huge plus for most employers. So how do we build some of these soft skills? While most of these skills seem like character traits, we can improve on them. Training and experience, those are the two best ways to do it. We can think about it all day long, but unless we get some specific training and get some experience using that training or dealing with other people, those are the only things that are going to really help you improve. The library has lots of resources, okay? Lots of resources to help you improve on those soft skills and your emotional intelligence, your EQ. These resources can be used on your resume and job applications as examples of specific skill enhancements and demonstrating a dedication to self-improvement. I mentioned it in my last presentation. It's not at the job interview that you need to think about what might be asked of you in the interview itself. If they throw a question at you about some of these soft skills that they may have mentioned in a job announcement, where they asked about what are your communication skills, you need to be prepared to say, well, this is what I have done in the past. These are the steps that I have taken to try to improve my communication skills over the last 6 months, 2 years, whatever it is. All of those things will look better on you because you recognize that this is an important skill and you've taken steps to try to improve it. This gives an employer a quantitative measurement, which means that it's objective. You have taken steps to improve on a skill and you've put it in your resume, you've mentioned it in your interview. That is something they can check off in their notes, something that makes you stand out maybe from somebody else applying for the job that has not recognized that that's important to the job and haven't taken any steps. So they can actually use that as a reason to put you a little higher on the list. So some of the things that we've got available to us, I talked about JobNow. This is an awesome resource that you have available to you, and they have a lot of different things involved in that, from resume writing, interview help, improve knowing yourself, assessments for figuring out what kind of career you want to go into. And they also have job coaches available that are online and available usually from 1 p.m. to 10 p.m. just about every day of the week. So that is something that's available to you free of charge because you have a library card through the Fort Worth Library. How to access it? You log into your account, you go to the databases, and it's under database access. You'll see some different cities listed. You'll check Fort Worth. I've circled jobs and careers here, and this lists these 6 different resources within our database that are available to you to use. The first one, GCF Learn Free, JobNow I mentioned. I'll show you the screen page for GCF Learn Free. They specifically deal with technology, some of the core skills, and they help you with reading and math. EBSCO Learning Express, they have quite a few resources available too if you're interested in specific testing requirements, college admission, test preparation, adult core skills. The High School Equivalency Center has practice tests. Most of those consist of practice tests that you can take to find out what your maybe strengths and weaknesses are. What I want to go into a little bit more detail is LinkedIn Learning. So that's the second from the bottom on the list there. You're going to verify your card information, get into the site, and this is what you're going to see. This is the home page for the LinkedIn Learning. This is my home page, so yours is going to look a little bit different because it does change. When you first sign in, it's going to ask for things that you're interested in learning to start with, some broad subject categories. And once you've done that, it has recommendations. So you'll see at the bottom of this screenshot, top picks for you. The very first one on the top picks for me was Leading with Emotional Intelligence. So this is a course that you can take through LinkedIn Learning to learn even more about emotional intelligence. You'll want to set a goal for yourself, and that's pretty straightforward. They walk you through the process there. The courses in LinkedIn Learning are divided into 3 main categories. We've got business, technology, and creative. So if you're interested in focusing on the business aspect, what I've got in parentheses, project management, it says there's 5,000 plus resources in LinkedIn Learning for project management. Human resources, marketing, you could go a little deeper into technology areas, creative, animation and illustration. Most of these are digital animation and illustration, but they have others as well. So, I mean, they just have a huge range of classes on just about any topic you can think of. But since I'm concentrating on soft skills, I'm going to concentrate real quickly on this one class I found called Time Management Fundamentals, one of our important soft skills that almost every employer is going to want proof that you have some experience here. If I click on the time management class, I get a quick little introductory video. It talks about the instructor. In this case, it's Dave Crenshaw. He's the author and leadership coach specializing in productive leadership. They also have a link there for his LinkedIn profile. So you can actually go to his personal LinkedIn profile and check for yourself his credentials and see where he fits into the whole education part. Does he know what he's talking about? Also related to the course here, you're going to have 2 exercise files. Most of them have PDFs or picture files associated with the class that you can pull up and save. Those will be available to you. They help walk you through the course, or they might actually be exercises that you need to complete the class. You'll get a certification of some sort, a certificate from each class that they have. Not all of them are going to be worth a actual continuing education units. In this case, this particular class on time management is recognized by two different organizations that will give you continuing education units. And basically what that does for you is that this is a recognized course that fits certain criteria so that these organizations recognize it as proof that you took a class and improved your knowledge base on this particular topic. This is something that you can put on your resume or your CV. You'd either put it under education or you could put it under skills. But having this certification listed on your resume is going to be a definite plus because it shows to employers, prospective employers, that you're serious about self-improvement and you took the time to actually take a course on something that you wanted to improve on. Now, on the left-hand side of every course page, it's got it's basically an outline of the class itself. 99% of their classes are all video-based. All right, so every class is going to have a video component to it, and it's usually broken down into chapters, small little segments like this. You can come at it starting at the top and going all the way down. There are chapter quizzes at the end of each section, and passing those quizzes will let you progress on to the next. Or you can go and start at any point in there. If there's something, the other great thing about it is once you've taken a section of the class, if you want to go back and look at anything, it's always going to be available to you. It's really easy to navigate. They make it easy to go at your own pace. You can retrace any part of the lesson. I will tell you that at the end of the class, you really feel like you've accomplished something because they get very in-depth. The instructors that I have seen in the classes that I have kind of audited have been very knowledgeable, and they keep the section small enough that you're not sitting there for 30 straight minutes trying to absorb a lot of information. They usually break it down into 1 to 3. I think the longest I saw was like 5-minute sections. So you can do it piecemeal if you need to. So some of the courses that I think would be helpful, I mean, the point here is that you determine what it is you need to work on and then go into LinkedIn Learning, put it in the search box. I put communication in the search box for LinkedIn Learning. And these were the top 5 classes that showed up for me. Developing your communication skills and interpersonal influence. Communicating with empathy. Developing your writing skills. So that's another aspect of communication. Communicating with diplomacy and tact. Public speaking foundations. These might be things. And of course, there were a lot more courses listed there. So you could go through the list, find the things that interest you or you think will look best on your resume as you improve on these skills. Time management was another big one. Time management fundamentals, which we just talked about, finding your time management style. The 15 secrets successful people know about time management, improving your focus. These are the things that jumped out at me that I thought, well, I would be interested in these. So that's my suggestion. Get into it, start exploring, get into your LinkedIn resource through the library, type in anything in the search box, type in one of those soft skills that I mentioned before, or the emotional intelligence. There were several classes on emotional intelligence or EQ that would help you with improving those skills as well. So if you just want to develop your soft skills, they have a number of classes dedicated to this exact topic. Master in-demand professional soft skills. All right, it's a 9-hour course, of course, broken down into pieces, but that's an intensive look into the soft skills that are being specifically looked at by employers out there. Soft skills for sales professionals. So if you want to specify what kind of career you're going to go into, which soft skills specifically should be highlighted for the sales professional. Critical soft skills essentials. So you can get a lot more in depth than this. And of course, the library has a lot of books on the subject. Don't forget the books. So that's really about it for today. I just wanted you to know that these resources are available to you. They're great for expanding on your current skills, learning new skills, but you have to put in the work, okay? As you go through the process, use what you learn. That's going to be an important tool as well for you. Write it down too. Consider getting a notebook or a journal to help keep track of your progress. Keep that career plan going, and you can go back to it, review it regularly to make sure that you're still on track. Wherever you are in your journey, Forward Library is here to help you out, okay? We have those resources available to you. We have a dedicated and wonderful staff that want to help you succeed. All you have to do is ask. You are worth it, okay? That better job, that better higher paying job or more fulfilling job doing what you love, you're worth the kind of effort that it might take in order for you to get that. And we want to be there to help you. So unless anybody has any questions, that is it, Jana. I wanted to thank everybody for being here, and I really enjoyed it.
Me too. I obviously I've looked at LinkedIn Learning quite a bit, but you just showed me some things I hadn't actually made it into. So I know what I'm going to be doing this afternoon. All right. If you have any questions, put them in the chat. I'm looking at it right now. If we don't hear anything, you're always welcome to email, to either drop by Fort Worth Public Library branch or email us. If you registered for this, you got my email address in your confirmation. So I'd be happy to talk to you about anything you have questions about. And I don't see any questions coming in. So Blake, thank you very much. It was a fantastic presentation. It's really helpful. And I know people are really going to benefit from that.
Great. Well, thank you.
Right. Thanks, everyone.